Pastures new for Postcard and a Pint, we're off to the Lake District for the very first time. So is it to be ponds and pints?
We might even walk up a hill.
Oh, get you! Sounds like you'll be travelling far and wide.
We can't find the car key.
Or not. If you don't know us, I'm Rachel, he's Wills, and we are Postcard and a Pint. So buckle up for crap food reviews.
Very gingery.
Yes, and a couple of mad pints.
It's absolutely nuts mental.
But first, we've got to get there. It was up the M6 in a holiday mood. And the weather wasn't looking too bad for once.
We've arrived into Windermere, and the Windermere Park is going to be our home for the next 3 nights. We're going to explore the Lake District. It took us just over 2 hours to get here, and we can't wait to get exploring.
The beauty of this hotel was definitely its location. It was only a 2-minute walk and we were on the high street, right in the thick of it. It's not a big town at all, but it has everything you need. There were lots of cafes, pubs and restaurants, and we couldn't wait to try a few out over the next 3 days. We also loved the stone that most of the buildings were built from. There's a pub, surely it's got to be pint time soon. Rach?
We're checking out Windermere, and so far it looks really, really lovely. The lady who runs our hotel has recommended later on the Ella Ray, but we kind of like the look of the place next door. Looks really us.
Oh, the Crafty Bar with a pie with your pint. Hold that thought, we'll be back later. Now we're in Windermere, which is home to the largest lake in the Lake District, and we've yet to find it. But good old Maps knows the way, and we were off down a public footpath and through some woods, it seems. It's all very pretty. Let's have an update, please, Rach.
We're trying to find the Windermere Jetty we've put into the phone, and it's brought us a walking route through this lovely little forest. It's absolutely gorgeous. Take a look.
It really was. It felt like spring had arrived and Wills was feeling okay. We probably spent far longer than we should have done filming rivers and nature, and Wills out in his shorts. To be honest, I think we were just celebrating the fact that it wasn't raining. Isn't that right? Then, after a short walk, we popped out onto the bottom road by the Windermere Jetty Museum. The plan had been just to see the lake, but there was a boat tour leaving in 10 minutes and they had poo bingo. It was fate. You know what we're like for a boat tour. And this was to be a heritage boat tour. And it's looking pretty quiet. Tell us all about it, Rach.
We're on a heritage boat trip. We're the only two on it. We're going to have our own Swallows and Amazons moment.
Yes, it was to be a private cruise.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It really was. Perfect weather and the most stunning scenery. As we were the only ones on board, we had plenty of time to ask questions. This is Ian, and although he's volunteered at the museum for a long time, it was his first day leading tours on the heritage boat. And although it looked windy, it was actually quite warm, and we had the best time. As we sailed around Belle Isle, Ian told us the boat's history and some of the stories of the lake. We could easily imagine having a boat and sailing out to some of the smaller islands to have our own Swallows and Amazons adventures. But more about Swallows and Amazons later in this video. Our trip was coming to an end. It had been a 30-minute boat ride and we'd enjoyed every second of it. Back at the museum, we tied up and reflected on a fabulous introduction to the Lake District. Cheers, Penelope too. Then it was time to walk back to Windermere. Wills to do his fit check. You've still got it, lad. And for us to both reflect on that trip.
That was so good, and we're now walking back to Windermere. We might even walk up a hill, but a little more about that boat trip. That was the heritage boat trip from the museum. It was £15 per person. It took you round the big island. I don't know its name, sorry. And we were the only two on it. And we had both guys on it were called Ian. Cheers, Ians. And the Ian who wasn't captaining the boat sat, he was a volunteer, chatted to us, told us some stories. The boat is actually from the 1930s, and it was built by a guy who used to live on the shores of the lake, wanted to watch one of the sailing races, so built himself a boat so he could sail out into the lake, get right in the thick of the sailing race, and then sail himself home. It's a stunning boat. Highly recommend that. What a beautiful place.
And what did you think of it, Wills?
I really enjoyed that boat trip. I've been wanting to come here for years because years ago I remember watching the Swallows and Amazons film, not the one they did in 2016, but the 1974 one. Loved it, and I've always wanted to see it. They've got a boat of the Amazon in that museum, but that's the one from the latest film. We didn't see it. We saw it through the window, but very cool.
Once we were back in Windermere, we made a decision. And that decision was...
We have decided to climb a hill. We're going to climb Orrest Head. And from up there, apparently we've got a gorgeous view out over Windermere. And Pete and Shell from OB's Outdoors put us in touch with this one. Cheers, guys. Let's hope this doesn't kill us.
To be honest, it was quite an easy and very pretty walk. You could take the longer, less steep route or the shorter, steeper one. We went for the short and a bit steeper path. You won't get lost as along the trail are numbered signposts. This route only took 20 minutes to reach the top, and the higher you climb, the more of Lake Windermere you see.
And Windermere is England's largest lake.
And there's a Windermere fact for you. But this particular hill has a story all of its own and was the start of a passion and love for this area that would last a lifetime. Tell us the story, Rach.
In 1930, a 23-year-old lad visited Windermere and climbed a local hill. That hill was Orrest Head, and that hill changed his life forever. Here is his description of what he saw from the top.
Quite suddenly, we emerged from the shadows of the trees and were on a bare headland, and as though a curtain had dramatically been torn aside, beheld a magnificent view. This was truth. God was in heaven that day, and I a humble worshipper.
That lad was, of course, Alfred Wainright. This began a long obsession of the Lake District, climbing many, many fells and writing so many guidebooks. The 214 fells described in his books are now commonly known as the Wainwrights.
We won't be climbing them all, but we're glad we'd done this one.
That was so good.
It was ace.
Really enjoyed that. Oh my God, the views from the top
Beautiful.
are stunning. You can see right down Windermere. Thank you, Pete and Shell. That was a really good heads up. But we're going now. We're absolutely shattered, and it's time for a pint.
It most certainly is. The Gruffalo says it's pint time. The hedgehog, the fox, and even the owl say it's pint time. Isn't that right, Twiggy McSnuffletrunk? Yes! Right, remember that Pie and Pint pub from earlier? We're going in. And it didn't disappoint. If you could name it, it was there, either as a decoration or stuck to the ceiling. They had a great selection of beers and wines, so we got stuck in. Cheers!
We're in the Crafty Bar. It claims to be the smallest bar in the Lake District. It's absolutely nuts mental. It's all decorated from recycled materials or upcycled materials. It's mad, but we love it. Cheers!
Cheers indeed. Sadly, you had to pre-order food, so there were to be no pies that night, but we loved it.
This bar is absolutely mental. It's got a bit quieter now, and we've moved inside the pub within a pub looking at it, but it's absolutely crazy.
Yes, and if you have any more wine without food, you too will be crazy and there's no pies. We loved it in there and we'll definitely be back, but now for food. We got a table at Cafe Italia and it was pizzas all around. Oh, and another wine. Cheers! Then it was home to bed. It had been a long day. There was just time for a bit of wandering with Watto before we turned in. And then it was...
Morning!
Remember that stunning sunshine from yesterday? Well, that's a thing of the past. Rain is here, probably for the rest of the trip, but today we're off to Grasmere and Coniston. Come and join us.
First for a cracking cooked breakfast. Now, is everything going okay?
Right, we're back in the hotel room. You just saw us outside. We got to the car and realised we didn't have the car key. So we've come back in. We can't find the car key. We're not used to having the car with us, so bear with us as we try to find it.
Where can it be? First off, let's check all the bags and cupboards. Nope. Toiletries and makeup bags, because it's bound to be there. Nope. I know, how about it's gone under the bed that has zero gap underneath it? No, didn't think you'd find it there. Hang on a minute. Yesterday was Suns Out, Guns Out, and the shorts were on. It's yay! Now have we got everything, Wills? Champion. So it was into the best of British weather and off to Grasmere. And I decided on the smaller and more winding route. There was no one around, so we pulled over to enjoy the view.
So as you might have seen from the footage out the front of the car, I brought us on the Scenic route thinking it would be pretty. The roads were really, really narrow, but we've just pulled up this tarn, Loughrigg Tarn. There's no one here, it's absolutely gorgeous. We've flown the drone, lovely shots.
After the car key debacle, it was nice to find a bit of calm. This would be the perfect place for a picnic. Lakeside with stunning views. We enjoyed a short walk, flew the drone, and quickly realised that even the tiny lakes in this area have so much to offer. And there wasn't a soul around. To be fair, everyone else was probably inside by a nice warm fire, but a bit of rain wasn't going to stop us. Soon it was time to leave this lovely area, make our way back to the car, and continue on our journey to Grasmere. It's only 9 miles from Windermere to Grasmere, but with winding roads and a stop, it had taken us an hour. Let's park up. We did find parking in all of the Lake District pretty expensive, to be honest. This one was £4 for 2 hours. But we're on holiday. Spring is in the air and lambs are in the fields. They were so cute. OK, so Grasmere is looking a bit depressing in these shots, but it's a charming village with lots of places to eat and drink, and probably quite the hive of activity in the summer or on a sunny day. But although quiet and sleepy it may seem, Grasmere is actually very famous for a certain foodstuff, and we were here to try some. Tell us more, Rach.
Grasmere gingerbread was invented in 1854 by Victorian cook Sarah Nelson. It's now worldwide famous. It's part biscuit, part cake, and totally delicious.
And we were ready to buy some. Now, Sarah Nelson moved to this very cottage in the mid-1800s and started to bake a unique, spicy, sweet treat that was neither biscuit or cake. Even back then, each piece was wrapped in paper. And lucky old Sarah, with the advent of the steam railway and an influx of tourists, her gingerbread quickly gained fame beyond the village. Recognising the value of her creation, she safeguarded the recipe, and it remains a secret to this very day. Let's see if you two can guess what's in it.
Well, it smells amazing.
Yes, but what's in it? What are the flavours? What's the texture?
Chewy.
Brilliant. The taste?
And delicious.
Rubbish. Wills?
My turn. I'm going to have the same piece. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
This is going to be good.
It is indeed a bit biscuity, a bit cakey, very gingery.
Or not.
Smells incredible.
Yes, we know.
It's not what I thought it'd be like, but it's damn good.
Rach.
My turn again. Now, apparently this is a closely guarded secret. Like Will says, definitely a lot of ginger in there. I think there's almonds in there, and I think I can taste nutmeg as well.
Well, that's a bit better, but it's still a crap review.
I can see little bits of nuts in it. Not what I was expecting at all. Not like the gingerbread you'd bake at Christmas. Not like Leberkuchen, really, at all. It's very unique.
As are you two, idiots. Anything else?
And don't ever worry about spilling crumbs of your gingerbread. Nature's Dysons are waiting to hoover it up.
Excellent work. Now tell us more about Grasmere.
We're now at the grave of William Wordsworth. He was an English poet who, alongside Samuel Coleridge, helped launch the Romantic Age in English literature.
William Wordsworth wrote over 380 poems in his lifetime. His poems range from intimate reflections on nature to philosophical musings on society. One of the most widely known is, "I wandered lonely as a cloud." And a line in this poem has inspired this place.
We're now in the daffodil garden behind St Oswald's Church. About 2 weeks ago, this would probably have been stunning when all the daffodils were out. They're just coming to the end of their season now, so it's full of dead daffodil heads.
This must be stunning when they're in bloom, and we'll endeavour to visit again to see it exploding with these gorgeous yellow flowers. As we said, next to this garden is St Oswald's Church, and it was time to pay a visit. This church is dedicated to the 7th century Saint Oswald of Northumbria. The present church dates from the 14th century, and William Wordsworth worshipped here regularly. In fact, he even helped with fundraising for its restoration in the 19th century. We're coming to the end of our time in Grasmere now. What's going on there, Rach?
And look at the queue for gingerbread now. Get here early, postcard and a pint, top tip.
Top tip indeed. And another one is, choose a day that's not raining. Postcards were duly bought for our top-tier Patreons. We hope you enjoy them. Then it was time for our last few thoughts on Grasmere.
We think that's about it for Grasmere. There's not a lot here in Grasmere. There's lots of art galleries. If you want art, this is the place to come, and lots of lovely looking cafes, and of course gingerbread. But now we're going to go and take a look at the lake.
Well, we thought we were. One thing we hadn't yet noticed is that the village is set back a little way from the lake, and it was chucking it down. So we went for a little look in the Grasmere Gather instead. It was lovely. It reminded us of a garden centre, but without the plants. There were lots of local handicrafts, but nothing for us today. We had to start making our way over to Coniston. This journey took about 30 minutes and it rained the whole way. What are our plans for this village?
We've got to Coniston. It is still chucking it down. It's time for a pub lunch, the Ruskin Museum, and then we're taking another boat trip.
This sounds like a great plan. We popped into Tourist Info to get directions for our boat trip later. Then to find a pub. That'll do. And is it to be pie and a pint today? Nope. Today it's fish and chips for Wills and ravioli for me. How was that?
That was lovely. We highly recommend the Crown Inn in Coniston, and for the first time today, it stopped raining.
Coniston is another typical Lake District village, full of pretty stone buildings, and ice cream too if you fancy it. St Andrew's is the church in this village. It was rebuilt in 1819 on the site of an earlier Elizabethan chapel. But we didn't hang around in this one, as we had a museum to find. This is the Ruskin Museum, established in 1901 by a close associate of John Ruskin. Not only does it commemorate the life and works of John Ruskin, one of the most influential thinkers and writers of the 19th century, it also has an Arthur Ransome display, and this means swallows and Amazons for Wills. This isn't film memorabilia, but this boat, originally called the Mavis, was a boat owned by Arthur Ransome's friend, and Arthur would help his friend teach their children to sail in the late 1920s. There was even a bit about the boat we're going on later, but we'll show it you for real. It's a really interesting museum, but the main display we wanted to see was this one. This is the story of one man's mission to be the fastest man on land and water. This man is Donald Campbell, and his association with Coniston is both jubilant and tragic. This is some of the wreckage of Bluebird K7 pulled from the depths of Lake Coniston. And this is the rebuilt version, and there are plans to sail it on Coniston in 2026. For those unfamiliar with Campbell's story, Donald Campbell endeavoured to follow in his father's footsteps to break speed records on both land and water. Donald achieved this numerous times, and he remains the only person to have set world speed records on both surfaces in the same year, that year being 1964. On January the 4th, 1967, he set about breaking his own water speed record here at Coniston. However, his second run resulted in a crash that killed him instantly. The wreckage of Bluebird K7 and Donald's body lay at the bottom of Lake Coniston until 2001. But we'll visit more of this story later. I seem to have found myself a dog friend in the gift shop.
Hello, Gorge. Hello, I haven't got anything, sorry. Oh my God, what a flirt.
This is my new best friend, but
I haven't got any gingerbread though, my friend. I left it in the car.
Put the dog down, Rach.
I left it in the car.
It's time to go. And the weather?
We've just come out the museum. It's now absolutely belting it down. That museum was £10 per person. At first when we went in, I thought, oh, OK. Tell you what, the Bluebird wing on its own is worth the money. That was fascinating. It's massive. I thought it was small looking at the videos. And the Ruskin part is absolutely great as well. And I just met a gorgeous dog. Right, Coniston, here we come.
Yes, only we would be going on a boat trip in the pouring rain. We made our way down to Coniston Jetty, which was about a 10-minute walk. We were filled with so many stories. The adventure of swallows and Amazons, the history of the boat we were about to ride, and the tragedy of Donald Campbell. Yes, Coniston holds a lot of stories in her waters. We took a quick walk to see the boathouse where they used to launch Bluebird K7. We think that's it, but we couldn't get close. Then it was back to the jetty to meet the magnificent steam gondola. Once again, it was to be a very quiet cruise. If you too want a very quiet cruise, do go in the driving rain. She was the height of Victorian luxury, and we couldn't wait to set sail. Tell us all about this boat, Rach.
This boat is absolutely amazing. I can't believe how fast it's going. It was built in 1859 for passenger service on Coniston Lake, withdrawn from service in 1938 and then turned into a houseboat, and it was then wrecked by a storm. And volunteers have put together money, and the National Trust have, to get it restored, and it's brilliant.
From its fascinating steam engine to its plush interiors, she sailed like a dream. We were feeling very Swallows and Amazons by now. And on this trip, you get to see this.
This is the island they used in the 1974 film Swallows and Amazons.
And we got to sail all around it, and could quite imagine camping out here and having days filled with adventures. But it was time to sail back up the lake and leave this little island behind. It was time to remember Donald Campbell. On January the 4th, 1967, Donald Campbell set out to break his own water speed record here on Coniston. During his first run, Bluebird K7 achieved a speed of 297.6 miles per hour. Instead of refuelling and waiting for the lake's surface to settle, Campbell chose to commence a return run. At a speed of 320 miles per hour, Bluebird K7 became unstable, hitting its own wake.
We're now at the site of Donald Campbell's fatal crash.
The nose lifted out of the water, causing the craft to somersault and crash into the lake, disintegrating on impact and killing Campbell instantly. And there remained Donald Campbell and his Bluebird until March 2001. On September the 12th, 2001, his coffin was taken out onto Coniston Water to honour his achievements. Then a funeral service was held at St Andrews before he was laid to rest at Coniston Cemetery. We sailed as far as the boathouse, where Bluebird K7 would have launched for all of her adventures on Coniston Lake. It had been an enlightening trip, but it was now coming to the end. This is an incredible boat, and do take this tour if you get the chance. But there was one more place in Coniston that we felt we had to see. We'd come to Coniston Cemetery to pay our respects to Donald Campbell. It felt like the right thing to do, having followed his story for the afternoon. His mascot, Mr. Whoppet, is now reunited with his master forever. Now, we wanted to visit one more place. We even put some summer tunes on in the hope of summoning some sunshine, but it wasn't to be. Where are you now?
We've come to Bowness on Windermere, and the plan was to spend the evening here. It looks really lovely, but it is still chucking it down, and we are cold and wet. So executive decision, we're going to go back to the hotel, we're going to dry off, and then we're going to go out for a drink. I don't think we want anything to eat after what we had before, and then come back here tomorrow, where it's not supposed to rain as much, and spend tomorrow evening here instead.
So we finally got rained off. Tonight we tried Tilly in Windermere. This was perfect for a few starters to share, and of course a drink to warm us up. We ended the night in what we now called our local, the Crafty Baa. And there was another dog friend for me there. I was so happy. The bar was as bonkers as ever, and we reflected on our first 2 days in the Lake District. Cheers! What will the next day bring? Well, if you want to find out, tune in next week. In a nutshell, the weather gets slightly better, Someone drives into the back of our car,
And then this dickhead came down the hill really, really fast.
but it's all okay, as Wills found Christmas and decorations were bought. If you'd like this video, subscribe to the channel and leave us a cheeky comment. We'd be most grateful. We've been Postcard and a Pint. See you next week for part 2. Cheers!
What do you call a can opener that doesn't work?
I don't know.
A can't opener?